Why, hello there. My name is Kat. You're watching the Soul Sister channel, and this little video is on Uranus retrograde. Uranus went retrograde on Thursday, August the 19th, and Uranus will remain retrograde until next year, January 18th, 2022, joining the other four planets who are currently retrograde along with Uranus. We've got Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto. So Uranus joins the fray, as I say, on August the 19th. So let's talk about Uranus. Uranus is a planet whose orbit around the sun is 84 years. So Uranus spends 7 years in each sign, making Uranus a generational planet. Not only does Uranus affect us individually, but it also affects us globally. Uranus, the 84-year cycle, is actually considered the spiritual human life. And the halfway point of between like ages 40-42 is what we call the Uranus opposition. In the secular world, it's called the midlife crisis. What happens at the Uranus opposition is a physical electrical adjustment within the body, where if the person has been used more masculine energy up until the halfway point, they are going to begin balancing with the female energy. If they've used more female energy up until 40-42, then they will start getting into their male energy, and the rest of the life from 40 years all the way to 84 years is about bringing the masculine and feminine energy into balance, and then the focus comes more off of the physical life and more on to the spiritual life during that time. Now, it's interesting to note that since we aren't aware of this actual physical change that happens in our bodies, we freak out when we're 40, right? Look at all the stuff that happens around the midlife crisis. We hold on to our youth, and we try to have relationships with younger people, or we go out and get a fast sports car, or we go and we get all kinds of plastic surgery because we don't understand the energy and what it's for. So that's just a little bit on the opposition. So when we get there, when we're 40-42, we now know what it is. Now, Uranus is all about who we are, our true, authentic self. So Uranus's job is to help us uncover that, help us get back to that. Uranus is our unique self, our unique qualities, our unique ideals. It makes us different than anyone else on the planet. And when Uranus goes retrograde, that is what we are looking at internally. The big question is, are we expressing who we truly are? And that is what the energy of Uranus retrograde is all about, is getting back to discovering and getting in touch with and embracing our unique personality, our unique self. So during the retrograde, which is going to go all the way until January of next year, January 18th, it's a time where, first of all, with this Uranus energy is quite unexpected, quite sudden, surprises. And so if we have had any of events in the last 7 months when Uranus was direct, now is the time that we start processing those events and what they were about and how we can proceed forward successfully. Up until last week, we were like, what in the heck just happened to a lot of us? Now things come more into perspective and they'll settle down a little bit so we can get a clearer picture of what is going on. A question we're going to be asking ourselves during this Uranus retrograde is, where do I feel insecure? Where do I feel shaky? That's a question we want to ask, because that means that we're not comfortable with who we truly are. We are covering up a lot of it because of fear and unworthiness. So if we're shaky, if we're not sure of ourselves, usually that means that we're just not comfortable with us. And Uranus is going to, because Uranus likes to do surprises and do unexpected stuff. If we're having a hard time getting in touch with that part of ourselves, Uranus will help by providing some outer events that force us to take a look at ourselves, force us to not compromise ourselves and our values and our ideals. Also, Uranus wants us to, where do we need to expand our boundaries? Uranus wants to know, hey, especially of these events and looking at ourselves and how we are interacting with our outer world. Uranus wants to know, okay, where aren't we feeling secure? We need to take a look at that, because that's where we're not comfortable with ourselves. And then Uranus also wants to ask, where do we need to, especially in situations that changed in these upended events that happened in the last 7 months, where can we look at the situation or relationship with a new perspective? Uranus is in Taurus, so Uranus wants to hold on to the status quo. But this retrograde energy is saying, no, you have got to become comfortable with who you are. You have got to break out of the limitations you have placed upon yourself because of your unworthiness and your fear, so that you can contribute to the whole. And that's, Uranus wants your true, authentic self to shine, because each one of us has a specific purpose on this earth. And we're here to fulfill that purpose. And Uranus is how we get in touch with who we are and how we fulfill that purpose. So it's a lot of internal work. All the retrogrades are internal work. We want to look at, what do we need to adjust? What do we need to heal? And sometimes, what do we need to release? Are we in a relationship, for instance, where our authentic self isn't honored? Are we in a situation, in a job, in a career, where we have to put on all these masks just so we fit in, just so people will like us? So we think. These are things we need to look at during this Uranus retrograde. So Uranus retrograde is asking us to honor who we are, to embrace our true authentic self. It's asking us to go beyond our limits, our self-imposed limits. Let's take our boundaries out a little bit. Let's experience more. Let's look at things with a new and different perspective, because that could change the whole situation, the whole relationship, if we just change our perspective. And then the other thing is, the other question Uranus is asking us during this retrograde is, where do we need to surrender? Where do we need to surrender to our higher self and just go with the flow and do what we need to do from love, abundance, and gratitude to contribute to the whole. So there's lots of good stuff with this Uranus retrograde. Very internal work. Like I said, if we are having a tough time resolving some of these issues, bringing balance to our Uranian self, then Uranus will help us out and create outer events that force us to address those disowned parts of ourselves so that we can bring them back in and embrace them again. So, happy Uranus retrograde. Do that internal work. Don't forget to check in with higher self, because that is where we are going to find all of our answers. If we're patient and willing to listen, higher self will help us get in touch with our incredible divinity, our unique divinity. And higher self will also help us expand our boundaries so that we can experience more and stop limiting ourselves due to our own fear and unworthiness. Remember, with the retrogrades, they're all reviewing, realigning, redirecting, healing, releasing. So this is what we're doing. It's all a review of who we truly are and how we get back to that and how we embrace and express that in the outer world. So there's your Uranus retrograde work. Good luck. Remember, check in with higher self. Higher self will guide us through and help us get to our true authentic selves. Remember the keynote for the Soul Sister channel: life is lived from the inside out. Have a great Uranus retrograde. Namaste.